Today is apparently a massive news day in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, guys. We have had not only the announcement of the kit reveal of the great Mamarigans, the great Mamas, the Mamacitas, those wonderful characters from the Ahsoka show, but we are also getting new information about what's coming up next in Galaxy of Heroes. We have had confirmations of Shin, Hatti, Marok, Dengar's Punisher, and a bunch of information about GL Ahsoka Tano and the new Mercenary Tag. Let's go check this out. So I was literally live doing a stream on YouTube, and then Booyah, CG Meathead, who's doing like the worst job of being on PCO, is actually posting yet another announcement today. Hi, the Holotable Heroes! Get a sneak peek at some of the work in process images of Shin, Hatti, and Marok from our art team. Keep in mind these designs are still evolving, so details on the final characters may change. We hope you enjoy. And here we have it, guys. These are the T-poses essentially of Shin, Hatti, and Marok. I was expecting Shin, Hatti to come to the game. I thought Marok was a bit of an if and a maybe, but it turns out that both of these characters are going to operate under a Baylan Skoll team using the new Mercenary Tag. I had an idea that maybe Mercenary Tag was going to be more of a plug-and-play faction, where you take maybe Shin and Baylan Skoll and throw them in random teams and they assimilate into the faction and gain maybe the faction tags of other teams, but that's not the direction that they're going with. What they are going with is just full-blown new faction, and it's going to work retroactively. We've got a bunch of brand new mercenaries coming to the game. Well, no, it's not brand new mercenaries, it's mercenary tags applied to historic bounty hunters and other characters essentially. So let's take a closer look at Shin, Hatti. Now obviously they said this is still early progress at the moment, don't take it for read, but I doubt there'll be too much changes aesthetically speaking for these characters. Now I'm a little bit disappointed that maybe we don't have the hood and the cloak for Shin, Hatti, but overall the model is relatively decent. I'd like to see how they do their animations coming up, because Shin was very, very good in as far as combat mechanics were concerned. As far as the way she moved, she was very fluid and very agile. I'm hoping that translates well into Galaxy of Heroes. Marok, for me, looks a little bit like a Dark Souls character, not gonna lie. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I love the Dark Souls games. I'm surprised that he's actually not only coming to the game so soon, but also going to be as part of the Mercenary Tag under Baylan Skoll. I thought, if anything, he would more sit with the Night Sisters, but it feels very much like he is actually going to be a Mercenary Tag, and it's going to be playing under Baylan Skoll. So what does CG have to say about the Mercenary Tag all in all? Well, they're saying it is a brand new faction that represents Soldiers of Fortune, and it looks like that's going to be a new, not buff, but status effect, those blue status icons that we have in the game. Soldier of Fortune is going to be able to be passed out and increased by new mercenaries, not the old characters that they are retroactively applying the Mercenary Tag to. Only new characters can pass it to the rest of the team, but all existing mercenaries can get Soldiers of Fortune. What do Soldiers of Fortune do? Not a Scooby, do not know. Some of the characters that get this Mercenary Tag, by the way, are just a little bit like, really? Okay, yeah, fine. But there we go. So why did we make it? It's because there's a lot of characters that could technically be classified as a mercenary, and they're not all going to be bounty hunters, and they're not necessarily going to be neutral characters, so they wanted a little bit of flexibility for more plug and play, more theory crafting. I can get behind this sort of thought, alright? Isn't it like a bounty hunter? A bounty hunter can be a specialized mercenary, but not all mercenaries are bounty hunters, and not all bounty hunters are mercenaries, I would also say. They're trying to separate them, but there is going to be some instance with crossover. Now, they say Kasantan can be a mercenary. To me, that seems like I can't see anybody taking Kasantan away from Jabba the Hutt, for example, but maybe a character, a guy who's got Kasantan but doesn't have Jabba yet, might be able to use it under a Baylan Skoll team, who knows? It could be a weird subsection of the player base that has that sort of unlocked. Will there be any new characters coming to the game with the mercenary characters? There are 3 new characters coming to the game that have mercenary: Baylan Skoll, Shin, Hatti, and the new Marok. We don't know how many might come in the future, but it is safe to assume that there will be some in the futures. How do old and new mercenaries work together? They're the only faction that has the Soldier of Fortune effect. So essentially, how it's going to work is Baylan, as a leader of the mercenary faction, can pass Soldier of Fortune, as well as Marok and Shin, Hatti can pass it to all mercenaries, but they're the only ones that can do it. It looks like they're not retroactively fitting the kits that they are, or the characters that are retroactively applied the Mercenary Tag with additional effects. It's just everything is going to be on this Soldier of Fortune tag. Now I can assume that the Soldier of Fortune buff is going to be very, very strong. What does it do? Not a clue. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. What they do say is that older characters with the Mercenary Tag will be able to get stacks of Soldier of Fortune given by the Mercenary leader, only Baylan Skoll initially. Other characters with the Mercenary Tag will benefit from the effects that Baylan, Shin, Marok, and future mercenaries bring to the table in regards to Soldier of Fortune stacks. So what I imagine is you could build up stacks and say under Baylan Skoll, he will say on his kit, on his leadership somewhere, for each stack of every 5 stacks of Soldier of Fortune, you will get such and such stats, or you do such and such effects. And other leaders for the Mercenary Tag that we get in the future might change what those Soldier of Fortune stacks do. That's probably how they're going to approach it, just to get it a little bit different, a little bit more flexible, and give them a lot of viability for changing up that faction very dramatically over time. I'm excited for it. It sounds really, really cool. And it looks like that all the other mercenaries in the new set have different buffs based on the Soldier of Fortune tag. So potentially every single character that has the Soldier of Fortune tag, every new mercenary that we get will give different buffs to Soldier of Fortune. So we could have a full 5-man team all giving separate buffs. It's kind of a cool feature. I actually really, really like this. But what is interesting is all of the characters. Look at this long list of characters. Let me actually move my image over here slightly. Look at the long list of characters that are getting it. Obviously Baylan Skoll. Boba Fett, Scion of Django. Hopefully that's going to give him a place to be. Hopefully it can now be more useful outside of Territory War. Maybe pairing it with his Territory War Omicron. Maybe that could do some stuff. Cad Bane, Canderous Ordo. He has some application currently in a Mando team, but, what else can we do with him? Cara Dune, Dash Rendar, Dengar, Doc Aphra, Embo, Fennec, Han Solo, Hondo. Hondo is great. Hopefully Hondo is going to have some real good usage here. I'm hoping that the Soldier of Fortune buffs will be able to kind of offset the fact that he doesn't really have the faction tags to go along with it. Jango Fett, Jedi Knight Cal Kestis even, Santi, Kal Katarn, L3, Marok obviously, Mission Vow, Kira, Sana Staros, Shin, obviously, Beskar Armor, Mando, Vandor Chewbacca, Veteran Han, Young Han Solo, Young Lando, Zalbar, Zam Wessel. So there are lots of options. Like Zam Wessel has an Omicron that's relatively underused at this point, but maybe she can find a home under Baylan Skoll in GAC. Boost up that team just a little bit more. Who knows? I know it should only really apply to bounty hunters, but there's going to be a certain subsection of bounty hunters and mercenaries that you could team up with. It could just be very, very interesting. I love that we're getting like 20 odd characters with this tag. It's going to be pretty cool. Now, I'm not going to read about some of the insights into Shin Hatti's kit and that sort of thing because we don't really get an idea of how they're going to play. I do recommend everybody go through and read this because it is worthwhile reading, just not for me to just sit here and read you a library. That's not my job. My job is to entertain. No, I'm not very entertaining. My job is for you to feel superior because you've got here and I don't. That's what it's all about. Okay, so what can they say about GL Ahsoka Tano? Any early indicators of what direction you'd like to take her? Well, the first thing that we have been told is that GL Ahsoka Tano is confirmed to be a tank, guys, just like JML, just like Leia. Make of that what you will. If you feel she is a tanky character, I'm not sure. She felt more of an attacker to me, but that's okay. Ultimately, this comes down to a gameplay perspective. How does it feel in game? Less around the tank, typing or synergy or whatever you want to call it. So essentially, she's saying, though she will be no slouch should the tables turn and she finds herself seemingly alone in the vastness of the galaxy. I've said this before. I've given feedback directly to CG about how I think her ultimate will go, and it will be to do with the world between worlds. And I think, well, the way I thought of it was if she becomes a solo, she has like an AoE mass revive, goes into the world between worlds, come back, pass a load of buffs, that sort of business. I don't know if that's the step they're going to take, but it seems to me very much so that the world between worlds is 100% going to be featuring as part of Ahsoka Tano's kit, probably as part of her ultimate. That's all I'm going to say. Now, I won't lead into what's the hardest part of making a galactic legend. Again, it's not really viable information for you. But one last thing we will touch on is they have confirmed a new ship. The Punishing One, which is Dengar's ship, is a new bounty hunter ship coming to the game that is designed to work under Executor, and for some unknown reason, it's boosting the Executor. There's only one reason I can think of why this is happening, and that's because they are trying to build up to the next fleet. And the next fleet is not going to be a bounty hunter fleet. The only thing that makes sense to me from this is that they are going to be removing the Razor Crest from the Executor. And maybe we get a Mandalorian fleet next year. That's the only thing I can think of right now, because I cannot think of a reason why we would be getting the Punishing One now. I don't see us getting a new Bounty Hunter faction fleet. Maybe we do, but I can't see it. So why are they bringing in and powering up Executor when in recent months they've been giving us ships for other fleets, like Zori Bliss's ship? When that came in, can't even remember what it's called now. I've forgotten my name. I've got the Comeuppance. There we go. My brain engaged. The ADHD is not completely dead. They brought that in to elevate, the Radis's ship, and they brought in the Marauder to elevate the Negotiator, and then they were designed to be elevated to compete with current metas, and now they're elevating the old current metas. I can only think it's because they're looking to take away Razor Crest, potentially, and start building a Mandalorian fleet under Bo-Katan. Mandalore, maybe sometime next year. It could be interesting. So what do they actually say about it? It's meant to provide another option for the Executive Fleet. Adding the Punishing One to the starting lineup of the Executive Fleet should help the fleet perform better against most matchups. Leviathan will still be difficult, but Executors should be able to hold more consistently against everyone else. I find that odd because the Executor is one of the best holding fleets on defense with the triple attacker setup as it is. It doesn't need any more power necessarily. So why? I'll let you guys ruminate, and I want to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Make sure you do head over to the comment section and let me know your thoughts on all this. This is crazy amount of news. This almost feels as big as a road ahead right now. We've gotten the announcement of, basically 3 additional characters coming to the game, or 2 characters and a ship, and loads of information about the Mercenary Tag. We know that GL Ahsoka Tano is going to be a tank. We still don't know her team. We can assume what it's going to be. Loads of news, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and whilst you're there, hit that like button and subscribe to me, your bald-headed boy Scribble. I'll see you all in the very next video. Peace out, and may the Force be with you.